Picture discovering that the manufacturer of your vehicle is crumbling, and neither the company nor your local dealer mentioned anything. Revenue is vanishing, dealerships are suffering, vehicle options are diminishing, and customers are abandoned with automobiles that crash in worth. Today, we're examining the 6 automotive brands teetering on the edge of failure, whether due to notorious controversies, catastrophic business choices, or merely being overwhelmed by rivals. And here's the most startling aspect. The number 1 brand on this list maintains strong sales despite facing profound crisis. Stick around until the conclusion, because what I'm going to disclose is information dealers would prefer you didn't know. So let's begin. Let's kick off with a Korean premium brand that was anticipated to challenge BMW and Mercedes, but turned into a warning story instead. Yes, arriving at number 6 is Genesis, the luxury arm of the Hyundai Corporation that was established to rival the titans of the premium market. The proposition was straightforward: German-level refinement without the German cost. Remarkable design, cutting-edge technology, upscale cabins, all offered below competitor pricing. Theoretically, the concept appeared flawless. It was meant to be accessible luxury. But here's the complication. Luxury purchasers aren't seeking deals. They value prestige. And that's where Genesis struggled. Many continue viewing it as a Hyundai dressed in costly attire. The revenue figures might appear decent initially. Nearly 75,000 units delivered last year in the United States. But that number diminishes when compared to BMW's 371,000 units, Lexus's 346,000 units, or Mercedes's 324,000 units. A fresh emblem or a redesigned grille isn't sufficient to capture luxury consumers. Genesis continues battling for brand distinction and awareness, both essential for a premium marque. The customer experience fell short of promises. Luxury purchasers anticipate a premium journey, but realistically, numerous vehicles were retailed on Hyundai properties. And then arrived the dependability problems. In 2022, Genesis initiated recalls for multiple models due to fuel pump malfunctions that triggered sudden stalling, and their electric vehicles, like the G80 and GV60, faced recalls for power failure concerns last year. This type of incident erodes consumer confidence. The import duties didn't assist matters either, as numerous models depend on foreign components, which elevated costs. Their EV ambition, the new GV60, is already falling behind. The electric G80 has already been removed from the range, and sources indicate the G70 and electric GV70 could be terminated later. If circumstances continue this trajectory, Genesis risks disappearing from the marketplace, abandoning customers with vehicles that plunge in worth. So, if you're contemplating purchasing a Genesis presently, reconsider carefully. But if you believe this brand is troubled, the next one demonstrates how a single rebranding can obliterate decades of distinction overnight. You predicted correctly. At number 5, we have Jaguar. There was an era when possessing a Jaguar wasn't merely acquiring a car. It was purchasing status. Jaguar was the authentic gentleman's emblem, recognized for its fashionable styling, refined sedans, and thundering sports vehicles. It was the icon of British refinement. However, today Jaguar is merely a fragment of what it previously was, and that's putting it mildly. The F-Pace SUV is the sole remaining model in their collection, as the brand discontinued several models like the XC, XF, F-Type, I-Pace, and E-Pace in 2024 across various territories, including the U.S. The company gambled everything for a dramatic transformation to all-electric luxury, which generated a product void. The EVs won't materialize until 2026. Dealers are abandoned with nothing to present. Sales have been declining over the years, and recent sales statistics are so minimal that it's statistically negligible. The rebrand was utterly catastrophic. The legendary leaping cat emblem was substituted with something numerous people condemned as bland corporate mediocrity. Their notorious rebrand advertisement destroyed decades of brand perception and heritage overnight. The responses were severe, and their CEO resigned months afterward. Multiple dealerships are shutting down, and JLR is now sustained almost exclusively by Land Rover, which maintains strong sales. Jaguars were never celebrated for dependability either. RepairPal assigns Jaguar 2.5 out of 5 stars for reliability, positioning them 29th out of 32 automotive brands. The recent developments have shattered customer trust, and it's unsurprising resale prices are collapsing. Unless their new EVs achieve wonders when they launch, Jaguar risks vanishing into obscurity. Jaguar didn't perish because it was antiquated. It perished because it forsook what made it distinctive. If you were intending to purchase one of their models, whether new or pre-owned, seriously reevaluate your choice. If you believe that was severe, wait. The next brand on the list was a Japanese cultural phenomenon in the 2000s. Arriving at number 4 is a brand that once commanded world rallies and the highways. It delivered us legendary models like the Lancer Evolution and Montero. Yes, I'm discussing Mitsubishi, a brand that once represented affordable capability, off-road prowess, and indestructible reliability. That brand is now fighting to endure. In 2002, Mitsubishi delivered almost 345,000 units in the U.S. But 20 years afterward, that figure plummeted to merely 86,000 units, a dramatic reduction in volume. And 2025 intensified matters further. The new U.S. import duties delayed shipments and left thousands of units trapped at docks. Mitsubishi had no alternative but to increase prices, a massive setback for a brand that depended on cost-sensitive purchasers. Mitsubishi's collection today is nothing like it previously was. What persists is a sparse list of SUVs and crossovers. Their products are antiquated, and the competition surpasses them on all measures. Although Mitsubishi is typically recognized for reliability, the ownership narrative hasn't been precisely trouble-free. Numerous customers report CVT gearbox failures, suspension complications, engine stalling, and electrical malfunctions. And if you assume Mitsubishi's challenges conclude there, that's only partial. Mitsubishi has been forfeiting credibility and standing for years. Back in 2000, the brand was discovered concealing serious mechanical flaws, a controversy that devastated public confidence. Again in 2016, the brand was discovered falsifying fuel efficiency data for over 625,000 vehicles. The aftermath was devastating. Executive departures, law enforcement investigations, legal actions, and market worth declined by half. The breakdown was so catastrophic that Nissan had to intervene and acquire a controlling interest just to keep Mitsubishi operational. Today, Mitsubishi is a brand that forfeited its character and has no distinct direction. The emblem still possesses a heritage, but the cars today don't measure up to it. It's unsurprising that their models forfeit worth rapidly. So, if you're contemplating purchasing a Mitsubishi presently, consider carefully. The next brand on this list was labeled driver's luxury. And no, I'm not referring to BMW. Number 3 belongs to Infiniti. At one moment, Infiniti appeared like Japan's next major triumph story and Nissan's response to Lexus. Their models attracted luxury purchasers who desired BMW-like capability and dynamics with Japanese dependability. Their V6 and V8 power plants were as potent as they were enduring. Vehicles like the G35, the FX series, and the QX80 defined an epoch. Infiniti wasn't merely a more affordable luxury brand. It possessed an identity, character, and a devoted fan base. However, today they are a brand operating on limited time. In 2017, Infiniti delivered 153,000 vehicles in the United States. By 2024, that figure declined to just 58,000 units, a 10% decrease from the prior year. In reaction to the declining sales, the brand was compelled to close independent showrooms and withdrew into Nissan dealerships as part of a consolidation strategy. Models are vanishing too. Manufacturing of the QX50 and QX55 concluded in 2025, and the Q50, their final sedan, is already eliminated. What remains is a sparse lineup of 2 SUVs, the QX60 and the QX80. The deterioration commenced in the mid-2000s when Infiniti attempted to reinvent itself instead of enhancing what already functioned. The brand abandoned its performance heritage and transitioned to generic luxury crossovers. Although generally regarded as reliable, their vehicles have experienced their portion of problems too. Complications with the CVT transmission plagued older models. Tens of thousands of vehicles were recalled for various issues like engine breakdown, power failure, airbag flaws, and defective brake components. These demolished purchaser confidence, and resale prices collapsed as a consequence. Infiniti anticipates rebounding with forthcoming models and a future EV collection, but whether that will suffice remains uncertain. Meanwhile, customers are abandoned with vehicles that are quickly forfeiting worth and a dealer network that continues contracting. So if you're intending to purchase a car for the extended term, Infiniti shouldn't be near the summit of your list. The vehicles themselves aren't inferior, but investing in a brand that's forfeiting territory is a hazardous wager. If you assume this breakdown only affects foreign manufacturers, reconsider. The next name on this list was once the pride of American automotive craftsmanship. At number 2, we have Chrysler, a brand that was once the preference for millions of households across America. For generations, Chrysler represented advancement, comfort, and practical family vehicles that didn't deplete the budget. The first production Hemi V8 was introduced to the streets by Chrysler. They invented the minivan, a category that transformed American family transportation forever. Chrysler wasn't merely a car brand. It was a component of American heritage. The emblem used to be equivalent with respect and distinction. Back in 2005, the brand delivered more than 640,000 vehicles in the United States. However, by 2024, that number collapsed to under 125,000 units, a staggering 80% reduction from its zenith. And 2025 is projected to be even worse. Sales are on trajectory to reach their lowest thresholds. While its competitors modernized their collections, Chrysler maintained aging platforms and refreshing the same models for years. The Chrysler 300, one of the final models that embodied the brand's character, was terminated in 2023, concluding the chapter on its most legendary sedan. The Voyager has endured mostly as a fleet-only model, though it recently made a return to the consumer marketplace, and the Pacifica, the only genuine consumer model sustaining the brand, is forfeiting ground rapidly. Competitors like the Honda Odyssey, Kia Carnival, and Toyota Sienna deliver superior technology, greater reliability, and reduced depreciation. It's unsurprising that Pacifica sales declined by 11% in 2024. The dealership collapses intensified matters further. The Airflow EV was supposed to be Chrysler's opportunity for a resurgence, but Stellantis terminated the project mid-development as it was excessively costly and already antiquated. Today, Chrysler is a brand with an uncertain future. And that's not merely conjecture. Carlos Tavares, the former CEO of Stellantis, cautioned last year that multiple of the group's brands could vanish by 2026. And it's probable that Chrysler is one of them. It's the customers who absorb the greatest impact, trapped with vehicles that plummet in worth, restricted technical service, and diminished availability of replacement parts. Purchasing a Chrysler today accompanies a very genuine risk of concluding with a vehicle forsaken by its own manufacturer. If you assume that was severe enough, the next brand proves that even the titans of the automotive industry are not protected. The brand that claims the number 1 position on this list is Nissan, a selection that will astonish numerous people, and for valid reason. For generations, Nissan was a global powerhouse that represented engineering superiority, advancement, indestructible reliability, and accessible capability. Their vehicles defined eras and dominated the streets across continents. They delivered us some of the most legendary nameplates like the GTR, Armada, Altima, and Frontier. Nissan was an emblem that commanded respect globally. However, today the brand is in danger of breakdown. Yes, you perceived that correctly. In 2024, Nissan delivered over 865,000 vehicles in the United States. That may appear substantial, but internally, the company is in complete crisis. The Maxima, their flagship sedan, was eliminated in 2023 as sales collapsed. The Altima is also following the same trajectory. Globally, Nissan reported a deficit of $4.5 billion, with operating profits declining 90% in a year. Sales worldwide descended from 5.8 million units in 2017 to just 3.3 million units in 2024, and Nissan had to undertake drastic measures to address that. The automaker terminated nearly 20,000 employees, reduced production, and closed multiple manufacturing facilities. Recently, Nissan discontinued the Ariya EV and canceled 2 forthcoming EV projects for the U.S. marketplace, abandoning them with no genuine future in the electric category. A brand that once represented advancement now has no strategy. Nissan's downfall didn't transpire overnight. The fractures initiated years previously. In 2018, CEO Carlos Ghosn was arrested for concealing millions and utilizing company resources for personal advantage. That triggered a major corporate crisis for Nissan, eroding confidence from its associates. On top of that, multiple emissions and fuel efficiency controversies devastated public confidence and destroyed standing. In 2024, Nissan attempted a failed consolidation with Honda, but discussions collapsed when Honda demanded complete control. Since then, Nissan has been desperately pursuing alliances, but nothing has been finalized. Internal sources indicated the company has only 12 to 14 months remaining to endure before discovering a major investor. Let's hope Nissan achieves a resurgence, but circumstances are very challenging for them presently. Purchasing a Nissan right now is a hazard in the extended term, because when an automaker is battling for survival, it's not the company that absorbs the cost first, it's the customers. If you're contemplating a model from any of these brands, step back, conduct your investigation, and consider long-term, because ultimately, the car you select shouldn't become a financial liability. I'd appreciate hearing your perspectives. Which brand on this list astonished you the most? Or do you have a narrative of your own? Share it in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.